Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lyne't, and I'm just coming with this special message. I know I seem to be wearing the same shirt, but this is a whole different day. I just washed this shirt and grabbed it again, and I was like, wait a minute, last time I recorded, I think I was wearing this shirt. But anyway, I have a special message to all of God's earth angels, my fellow people. You don't know who you are yet. You don't know. You just know that you have an extremely good and extremely loving heart, and you treat everyone right. And you know this in your heart. And people always say that you're a good and loving person, and they feel bad for the way they treated you. You always get that type of response from people. We have a lot of suicides happening, a lot of them. And people don't understand that many of the suicides are actually the angels that God sent to earth to help people. And the nature of man has taken over people. God sent us to be the answer to many people's prayers. And the nature of man has taken over them. And they have done what men do, which is destroy the Spirit of God in a body to where it's almost too much. I'm a bit stronger because I was like formed in basically hatred and anger because my birth father, God rest his soul, he just passed on December 2nd, but he tried to beat me out of my mother in an effort for her to have a miscarriage because he didn't want me to be born. So they fought all the time, and this was confirmed by an aunt this December after he died. She said that he and my mom fought ferociously all the time, and it was just so that my mom was trying to stop him from giving her a miscarriage, and he was trying to give her a miscarriage. But then my mother, in me being born and them two breaking up, she wound up resenting me horribly, which I understand. I mean, she didn't have the mental um, help that we have on social media now that can get you through your rough times. She didn't have that. So I'm telling the people who are actually good people, not the people who you think you're a good person. No. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Insert your name. If your name does not go along with each one of those for charity or love or whatever, then you're not who God sent as an earth angel. Trust me, you're not. Um, but you can become one. You're not stuck the way you are. You can take on those traits and those characteristics and apply them to every part of your life and everyone. And you can learn to listen to the voice of God and go hard after just a relationship with God. And you can become one of God's earth angels. I tell you, it's not an easy thing to be, though. But I'm going to first give you Hebrews chapter 13 and 2. And this is King James Version. This is God's warning to man to not mistreat who he sent to answer your prayers. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. What are angels here for? What were we as spirit beings put in human form for? To dwell amongst human beings. We were put here to help lead people back to God, not to the traditions of men. Let's get this straight. We were not put here to lead people back to the traditions of men. The traditions of men are in books. And like a lot of people say, they worship Ahia. Ahia is a Sumerian god. They just put an A in front of Haya. Sin is the Sumerian moon god, which Abram back then, from the land of Ur of the Chaldeans, that was their moon god. Sin was literally the emotions. The moon god represented the emotions. And so that's what sin was. Um, in Hebrew, sin means sperm. So sperm is actually a person. So it's not an action. It's not a transgression. Sin in the Sumerian texts which the Abrahamic faith comes from. He left from he got from amongst them, but he was originally a worshiper of sin. He and Lot and his brother and his dad. Look it up. I'm not lying to you. Mesopotamian religions. His name was Nana, Nanna, Suin, SU''EN /sin, SIN. And it was Sumerian God. So, and Haya, when people talk about, I've had some men trying to minister to me about worshiping a Haya. Haya, and I had to tell them, and I had to pull it up on their phones and show them, you're following the traditions of men, because Haya, they just put A in front of Haya. Haya was a Sumerian god. So you're not worshiping the true God. You're going back to Sumerian religion, which Abraham walked away from, or Abram walked away from and became Abraham. Sarai walked away from and became Sarah. So that being said, earth angels, your only mission, the only reason why we chose to be here and to stay, the reason why we didn't die as infants, the reason why we didn't, everything that came against us to kill us, the reason why we're not dead, is because we're put here to put people back in direct contact with God. We're here to make them, not make, but give them the tools to remember how to reach God. Now, here's the problem. Many of the earth angels have become just like men. Let me show you. The earth angels have taken on traits and characteristics and lifestyles and behaviors of men. What are those things of men that I just explained? It's Romans chapter 7, verse 14 through 19, and we're reading from the King James Version. It says, Romans chapter 7, verse 14, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin, sold under emotions, or stuck under emotions. For that which I do not allow, for what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. Let me read that again, verse 15. For that which I do not allow, he's saying the stuff that I don't allow, it's the stuff that I should do, but I don't do. But that stuff that I hate, I do that. And then verse 16, if then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that is good. Which is saying, the law of God is simply saying, come back and talk to God. Go back to the Garden of Eden when God was trying to talk to Adam and Eve, and they hid from God. They wouldn't go talk to God. That's literally the law of God. Go talk to God. You pray, pray, pray. You fast, fast, fast. When do you ever be quiet and listen? Listen to the voice of God. That's what it is. That's the law of God. That's consenting the law of God. When a parent lays down a law that a child is supposed to let them know when they got a certain place or communicate something with them, if that child doesn't do it, that child is in trouble. They have trespassed against the law of their parents. They have emotionally gone against or sinned against the law of their parents. Verse 16, if then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that is good. Verse 17, now then it is no more that I do it, but sin dwelleth in me. See, this is the nature of man right there. I don't listen to God. I can't be quiet and hear the voice of God. I refuse to. I refuse to let God order my every movement, because out of emotion, I live on my emotions. That's it. And men live on your emotions. I'm explaining to you how. Verse 18, Romans chapter 7, verse 18. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, the body, the mind, the brain, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. So he's saying, I want to do good, but I know that the way I am, I ain't no good. But I want to go back and talk to God, but I can't find out how to do it. That's what he's saying. Verse 19, for the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. That is the nature of man. The nature of man is to live in emotion or sin. Emotion causes you to not be able to hear the voice of God for your life. Emotion causes you to pick up other people's examples of what they did and declare that everybody's righteousness falls under that example. So then, because you're following other people's example of what they did to hear from God, you cannot hear from God on your own. And the nature of man, when God says, okay, you called on me to help you, here you go. I'm going to send you an angel to help you, bring you back closer to me. The nature of man is to do evil against that earth angel. I've suffered this my entire life. My entire life. And there's been many a times that I've tried to commit suicide. And many of our earth angels are killing themselves, and they're leaving children and family members in grief because it's painful to be an earth angel. It's painful. But our only mission is not to try to heal someone. It's not to try to make someone better. I always thought that my mission here was to make someone better. That's not our mission, y'all. Our only mission that we decided when we came here that we wanted to do was to help people remember, rejoin to their bodies, how to be back in contact with God. A simple conversation with God. God went to go talk to Adam and Eve. God went to go talk to the body and the emotions. And they had blocked God off. Do y'all get the story now? So when God wants to talk to you, that first mind that something told you, that natural instinct, that's God. It's not an earth angel's job to heal you and to help build you up and to have your back and to help you grind from the bottom and get to the top. It is our duty here on earth to remind you how to hear from God so you can live the best life you want to live. It is not our duty, even though we hear from God. And it seems like we have a magic hand because everything we hear, we do, and you see it manifest. And sometimes that person that you had in your life brought you the greatest life you've ever known so far. When you look back and you see that God sent you an earth angel, whether it be a child, a parent, a spouse, a friend, a co-worker, when you look back and you see how you mistreated God's angel that God sent to you, that stranger that you didn't know in the beginning, you'll then see, oh, I mistreated my fulfillment of my prayer request. People. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2 says, be not forgetful to entertain strangers. Be good to people. For thereby some have entertained angels unaware. And angels are simply people who remind you to listen to the voice of God. That's all I'm here for. I'm not here to change your life, even though if I step in your life, things change and you experience stuff that you probably have never experienced before. What my people call me, my students call me a phoenix. Oh, you're a phoenix. You're magic. You a master manifester. No, I just know how to listen to God. And even in my darkest hour, I will shut down me and say, God, you got to speak because I can't hear you. Even in my brightest hour, when I'm shining the brightest, like the sun, I still shut down and say, God, you got to speak to me. Because of myself, I do nothing. You control this body, not me. I've done my own will for 46 years. And for 46 years, it's brought me nothing but pain. So I accept my assignment. And I know the only way to carry out my assignment as your earth angel is to allow you to drive this car. I'm the car. This body is the car. This mind, this voice you hear, these senses are the car. God, Genesis 1:26 for me, but for whatever who your God is. But Genesis 1:26, King James Version, that's the driver of this thing. Of myself, I do nothing. And that's the reason why I'm so successful. And that's the reason why when people set their hand against me, they cannot win. People wonder why they can do things and it don't take me down. It don't matter what you're doing in the spirit. It don't matter the prayers you sending up. You doing that to God, to the almighty creator of all. You're not doing it to me. Earth angels, I need y'all to stop taking this personal and let that stuff go. Last night I had a setback. I stepped into Romans chapter 7, verses 14 through 19. But I didn't hold on to it because I realized that I am a spirit being. I've had so many people tell me, you're not a human being. Human beings don't have the consciousness of God that you have. You're a spirit being. And I finally accepted. I had a student tell me, he said, you have changed me. You are Hebrews 13:2. And I wouldn't receive it at first. But then I thought about, how would I feel if one of my kids denied me and denied the blessing that I put on them? Oh, I ain't part of her and she ain't never done nothing for me. How would I feel? So I began to embrace, and God is really flowing in me and beginning to change me. And yes, the manifestations are there. And I do realize that God is now answering questions, and God being answered it. I believe that when it says in the Bible, in Genesis, when it says that God sat on the seventh day and rested, God ain't got up and done nothing since the foundation of this thing. Everything was already answered and done. It's just up to us to choose to listen to God's directions or to go at it on our own. I'm a truck driver. And I've seen truck drivers say, because I'm a woman, oh, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to, I know where I'm going. And then I'm like, but you don't want the pin drop either? The address? No, I've been there before. I know where I'm going. Because their pride, because their men didn't want them to receive anything from a woman. And then they get lost. They take off before me. I take off 15, 20, 30 minutes later. I done got there, dropped my trailer, picked another trailer up. I'm halfway back. They call me, hey, so you know that location? How do you get there? I'm on the way back to the yard. You ain't dropped it. You left before me. But they're lost without the directions. They're lost without the destination. Your prayers are the destination. God's voice to you is the directions to your destination. But in order to get to that destination, y'all, you got to be the car. Your mind has to be the car. Your brain has to be the car. Your body has to be the car. Your senses have to be the car. Your emotions have to be the car. And you got to let your God be the driver, not the GPS. Because the driver knows where they're going. Ask any truck driver who's been somewhere that they've already been. And anything you want in this world, anything you want to get rid of, anything you want to stop, anything that is plaguing you, anything that is hurting you, anything that you want to achieve, God has already made it, so he knows how to get there. I can tell you how to get to the places that I've hauled away the dirt to build the foundation. I can say I started the build. It wouldn't have happened if it had not been for me and probably 2 other drivers, or 3 or 5. So that's my message to y'all. Learn to recognize the angels that God put in your life. Everybody ain't just a person. Everybody ain't just a human being. A bunch of y'all are human beings. I receive when people say, no, you're an angel. I receive that now. Because everybody seems to tell me the same thing. Their life has changed from being around me, or I healed them, or I helped them heal. And I tell people, I don't heal you. I just give you the tools to heal yourself if you listen. I want to wish everybody joy, love, peace, happiness, health, wealth, well-being, total enlightenment, prosperity, success, affluence, abundance, and a whole lot of money to you if you want it. Take care. This is Lyne't.